Five crises shaking the 2026 World Cup. 48 hours before kickoff, Omar Artan spent 3 years earning his place at this tournament. 3 years of performance assessments, international evaluations, domestic matches reviewed by FIFA's refereeing committee under Pierluigi China. In 2025, the Confederation of African Football voted him the best male referee on the continent. On May 24, just 2 weeks ago, he refereed the CAF Champions League final in Rabat. He was one of 52 referees selected by FIFA globally for the 2026 World Cup, and he would have been the first Somali referee in World Cup history. He arrived at Miami International Airport on a flight from Istanbul. U.S. Customs and Border Protection pulled him for additional inspection, then they turned him away. Their official statement was exactly 4 words: determined to be inadmissible due to vetting concerns. No explanation, no appeal pathway, no alternative arrangement offered. FIFA's response was equally brief. The Federation confirmed Artan would not officiate and stated, FIFA is not involved in host country immigration processes, and the host government ultimately determines who receives a visa. Not a protest, not a single word of regret, just institutional distance. Artan himself responded with dignity, focusing on future challenges, expressing gratitude. The contrast between his composure and FIFA's complete indifference is not a minor detail. It is the defining image of this tournament. For 2 years, FIFA has marketed the 2026 World Cup as the most inclusive in the competition's history. FIFA credentialed referee, selected through a rigorous multi-year process on official tournament business, turned away at the border. That is not a bureaucratic footnote. That is the answer to the question FIFA spent 2 years asking people to believe. Now move 1,800 miles south to Mexico City, where the second crisis is playing out in the Zocalo, one of the largest public squares in the world and the planned centerpiece of Mexico's fan experience. The CNTE, Mexico's National Coordination of Education Workers, has been camped in the Zocalo for nearly 2 weeks. Their core demand: repeal of a 2007 pension law that stripped teachers of guaranteed retirement benefits. The government made an offer on Friday. The union rejected it and announced their next steps would target the fan festival area directly. FIFA has already canceled volunteer training sessions scheduled for the Zocalo. Fan zone infrastructure cannot be fully assembled for the opening ceremony. A FIFA spokesperson confirmed the cancellations, but declined broader comment. The timing is not accidental. The CNTE is not anti-football. They are not asking for the tournament to be moved. They are using the largest media spotlight Mexico will see this decade as deliberate leverage for a pension dispute that predates the World Cup by 17 years. Every camera trained on the fan festival is a camera that might frame their protest. That is the strategic logic, and it is working. Mexico was projecting approximately 5 million international tourists in June and July. The Zocalo is meant to be the iconic public gathering point with a capacity of 55,000 people. The opening ceremony is in 48 hours. The square is not ready. The third crisis is happening inside the Netherlands squad. Jurriën Timber, 25 years old, Arsenal defender and a veteran of the 2022 World Cup, has been ruled out. The Dutch Federation confirmed it is not medically responsible for him to participate due to a lingering groin injury. He is not the first loss. Xavi Simons suffered an ACL injury earlier in the year. Matthijs de Ligt required back surgery. That is 3 senior defensive and midfield options gone before a single ball has been kicked at this tournament. Virgil van Dijk's squad still carries quality. But the Netherlands has not won a World Cup in 52 years, and the depth of their roster is now being genuinely tested. How a squad absorbs 3 major losses before its opening match is not a theoretical question. It is the reality Van Dijk and his coaching staff are managing this weekend. Canada is dealing with a parallel defensive collapse. Mais Bombito was ruled out on Saturday. His leg assessed as not healthy enough to compete. That is another defensive absence for a Canadian side already operating with reduced options. And then there's the Alphonso Davies question, which has not been resolved. Davies is making his return from an ACL injury. Head coach Jesse Marsch is carefully managing his match fitness, and real concerns remain about whether Davies is match-ready heading into the tournament's opening days. Canada's opener is June 12, 3 days away, against Bosnia and Herzegovina at BMO Field in Toronto. Home tournament, home crowd, and a defensive unit that looks meaningfully thinner than it did 6 months ago. At SoFi Stadium in Los Angeles, the 5th crisis involves the 2,000 workers who make matchday function, the cooks, dishwashers, and bartenders who feed 69,000 fans per game. Unite Here Local 11 has secured strike authorization. No date has been named, but no new contract has been confirmed either. The operator, Legends Global, has not reached an agreement. FIFA has made no public comment on the situation. SoFi Stadium hosts 8 matches at this tournament. The U.S. opener against Paraguay is scheduled for June 12th. If a strike is called, the operational and reputational consequences would extend far beyond one stadium. The workers who physically make the tournament function are the ones without a resolution, without a contract, and without a public advocate among the 3 parties, FIFA, Legends Global, and the Union, who have the power to settle this. These 5 crises are not unrelated. There is a thread connecting all of them, and it runs directly through the attendance data that the tournament's organizers have spent months trying to explain away. Hotel bookings across 11 U.S. host cities are below forecast. European flight bookings for July are down 14% year-on-year, despite favorable exchange rates that should be driving tourism upward. A Seton Hall sports poll recorded a 17-point drop in American soccer fan enthusiasm for the U.S. as host in a single year. Fan festivals across multiple cities have been canceled or scaled back. The conventional explanation is economic, ticket prices, accommodation costs, the logistical complexity of a tournament spanning 3 countries. Those factors are real, but the Arton story is the sharper explanation. What Arton experienced at Miami International Airport is the same calculation that millions of potential visitors have been running quietly since tickets went on sale. A man selected by FIFA itself, credentialed, assessed, approved, was turned away at the U.S. border without explanation or recourse. What does that communicate to a football fan from Nairobi, Algiers, or Damascus who's deciding whether to spend thousands of dollars attending this tournament? The hotel occupancy numbers and the flight booking data are measuring that individual private decision, made by millions of people who looked at what happened to Omar Arton and drew their own conclusions. FIFA's answer to all of it is 5 words. The host government ultimately decides. The football itself is not in question. The squads confirmed this week are historically talented. Lionel Messi was photographed training at Sporting KC on June 3rd, focused and fit. France carries unmatched depth despite a warm-up loss to Ivory Coast. Spain confirmed Lamine Yamal fit for their opener against Cape Verde on June 14th in Los Angeles. England has both Jude Bellingham and Phil Foden available. Brazil, with Vinicius Jr., Rafinha and Rodrigo, has Carlo Ancelotti building a coherent system even in the absence of Neymar. The opening ceremony at the Azteca Stadium will be extraordinary. Shakira performs in front of 83,000 people. The pitch is ready. The stadium is ready. For everyone who made it there, the experience will match the scale of the occasion. But the football was never the question. The football at a World Cup is always extraordinary. The question that this tournament will be remembered for, not who won, not which match was the best, is whether FIFA's model is structurally compatible with a World Cup that actually belongs to the world it claims to represent. The pricing structure, the access requirements, the governance framework, the institutional response when a credentialed referee is turned away at the border, these are not separate issues. They are the same issue, measured different ways. Omar Arton arrived at Miami International Airport with 3 years of documented excellence, a FIFA credential, and a ticket to make history as the first Somali referee at a World Cup. He left without officiating a single match, with no explanation, and with FIFA on record saying it had no involvement in the outcome. FIFA is not involved in host country immigration processes. That sentence, issued by the governing body of global football 48 hours before the most watched sporting event on earth, is not a legal disclaimer. It is a position. It describes what FIFA believes its responsibilities are and are not when the system it built produces that result. The 2026 World Cup begins in 48 hours. 5 crises, 1 tournament, and 1 question that the next 6 weeks will either answer or defer. Does the model that delivered this tournament actually serve the world it was built to represent?